Okay, we're going to start with the nation. PCC, 6 articles probe for fraud within 72 hours. Why new revenue formula plan can't work by RAMFAC, that's the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission. Bolanle Raheem, killer police suspect pleads not guilty. Oyo Council to become richer, says Makinde. Soludo Surety proposal splits Kanu's family and IPOB. Slain Catholic priest survived Madala bombing kidnapping. 1 killed in INEC office attack and 18 die in road accident. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Can I start with the Bolanle Raheem story?
Yes, please.
They started the case yesterday, and the prosecution had their first witness in the stand. His name was Amen. He was one of the officers on duty that day. He said before they left the police station, the DPO had called them that they shouldn't use their firearms on anyone. They shouldn't threaten anybody with firearms, and they went out. He says the first Dimitri was standing in front. He was second, and the Vandi, what is his name? Vandi, yeah, was at the back. The first man stopped the car. He didn't stop. He stopped the car. He didn't stop. And then that was when Vandi now fired. And he said they were even shocked. They were not expecting the shot. They just saw, they heard the shot, and then they saw the glass shatter. The next thing, so a lady jumped out of the car. You have killed my sister. You have killed my sister. And then they just threw Vandi into the car and drove off with it. Before him and the second man could get to the place, they had driven off with him. They didn't know. The next time they saw him was at the police station with the the DPO brought the ASP. He was an ASP.
Yeah, we heard. Yeah. It's really sad, and I'm really pray that
very sad.
Justice is served. I mean, these are one of the behaviors that led to...
I forgot to say he pleaded not guilty.
Yeah.
Of course, just so that trial will go on doesn't mean he doesn't know.
Doesn't mean he's not guilty.
The World Economic Forum is holding, and globally they are predicting global recession, and they said that rising interest rates benchmark is also going to contribute to this. According to the managing director of the World Economic Forum, Sadia Zahidi, said some 18% considered, 18% attendees, economists across the world, chief economists across the world, they all predicted that a world recession is extremely likely, and more than twice as many as in the previous survey that they've had. And only 1/3 of the respondents to the survey predicted that it is unlikely that we'll have a recession. And they also said cost of living crisis may be approaching its peak at 68%, expecting that, we'll have less severe we'll have it less severe towards the end of the year. I'm just hoping that all this their prediction be me away. We'll pray it away and we'll have a good year economically.
Okay, let me talk about the RAMFAC, that's Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission. They had made a proposal to the President, Muhammadu Buhari, concerning the review of salaries. Nigerians have always asked that we must review salaries of our public officers. So what they have done is they proposed a vertical and horizontal revenue change. According to them, the vertical revenue allocation formula is obviously for the 3 tiers of government across, and then the horizontal is that includes the local government areas and also states and also the FCT. And the President had said that he can't review it until he gets feedback from the constitutional review that's been sent to the National Assembly for review. After the constitutional review has been passed, that's when he can then take the recommendations of the RAMFAC to the National Assembly for ratification.
So I want to take the story of one person, a policeman, detailed to the INEC office in Enugu South local government area of Enugu State, who sadly lost his life in the line of duty. Protecting the INEC office was burnt. The building was razed, and he died in the attack. Even though they called in fire service, the fire service couldn't put out the fire because they were scared that the hoodlums that put the INEC office on fire might still be around. People within the village said that was not true. They felt the people had gone, but they were just scared because they heard gunshots. They are suspecting that this attack was carried out by IPOB ESN renegades. But the good news from the INEC spokesperson, Victor Okafor, said the commission's materials for elections were not compromised. It wasn't even affected by the fire because it was just the security house where the police was that got burnt. This happened on the 15th of January, and it was confirmed by the Commissioner of Police for Enugu State.
Okay, let's move on now to The Punch. Emefiele DSS running battle paused as CBN governor resumes. Picture here again of the DPO warned us hours before Vandi killed lawyer, says inspector. Infidelity, Rivers man strangles and sets lover ablaze. INEC office attackers kill policeman, guard defend facility. Asumesu FG over withheld salaries. Graft video, Tinubu PCC demands articles prosecution and PDP protests. States, local government meets Ramfak wants higher revenue. Inflation drops slightly, production costs remain high, and oil blocks licensing to end in April. Okay, which story?
Okay, let me take the human interest story. So, in Rivers State, Port Harcourt, a middle-aged man identified as Babyface died in a fire incident in his house in Oyingbo local government area. But his lover was also recovered from the house. It is said that, he invited his lover to the house and strangled her or interrogated her over an alleged affair that she has with another man. They had an argument and he killed her, strangled her, then set his apartment ablaze as a way to cover up. But he himself was now unable to escape the fire. Sadly, both of them have died, and I don't know. The investigation will actually not lead to anywhere. Anyway, but I'm hoping that if there's any other hands involved in it, it will be discovered.
Okay, so the major headline: Emefiele resumed work yesterday, and everybody thought there would be a brouhaha because DSS have been trying to, or be saying that they wanted to arrest him. So he came back yesterday, and I think I'm trying to see the person that spoke from his office. One of his spokesperson came out to say that Mr. Osita Onwanishobi, the Apex Bank corporate communications director, was saying that their boss has resumed work amid concerns over the absence since last month. He went on his annual vacation, and they've not seen anybody from the DSS come to him, and everything is calm. DSS, on the other part, said that they denied trying to go arrest him in the office, that they never did that, and they did not storm his office as reported on social media, and that everything is just being put on hold. Like all we're hearing is just fake news about their alleged arrest of the CBN governor. Okay.
Who is going to involve his,
the most controversial CBN governor?
Who is going to investigate his involvement in terrorism by sponsoring?
Well, that wasn't addressed in this article. It was more about this resumption. Let the man even resume one day first. We're reminded that there's a case on ground.
Interesting.
Maybe
any other story? Should we move on?
No. I'm taking the ASU story, ASU Konua story. So we all know that the federal government didn't pay lecturers during the 8 months period of strike, but information came out that they intend to pay Konua. That's the Congress of Nigerian University Academics, which is like a parallel union that was formed during a parallel union. Anyway, so they got a memo that was sent to the president of Konua, Dr. Niyi Sumonu, and in that memo, they said they were going to pay people that are members of Konua for that 8-month backlog. Now, the lawyer representing ASU has said, that's Femi Falano, has said that he's waiting for them to pay Konua so that they have a legal basis to take their challenge to court, because they are demanding that ASU also gets paid. We're waiting to see how that plays out. But hopefully, these children don't go on strike again, or university students don't go on strike again.
Thanks for staying with us. We're now moving on to Daily Sun. Service chief's action saves Emefiele from arrest at airport. Atiku Tinubu in fresh war of words. Obi at Chatham House vows to dismantle structures impoverishing Nigerians. Nigeria's inflation eases actually to 21.3634%. 25 million Nigerians at risk of hunger in 2023. IPOB rejects Soludo's surety offer for Nnamdi Kanu. Olu of Warri Sue crisis on Ooni of Ife brokers peace. And Imo government to Ogochinyere. We have no hand in your misery. Okay, which story?
Okay, go on.
We're starting
Yeah,
with.
can I take the Kano? Because I took it in Nation, but since it's here as well.
Which one?
The Kano story.
Okay.
Nnamdi
Kanu, okay.
Yes. You know, Soludo had offered to keep him they should release him into his custody,
Right.
and he would make sure that he met his bail terms. Nnamdi Kanu's brother was very grateful. He says thank you to the governor. But IPOB have said, no. That there is no, that the government is supposed to, it's 3 months ago that they released him, and they haven't released him till now. So please, it is an unconditional release they want to. They don't want him going to the governor's house, because the court belongs to the federal government, so they should obey the court.
Yes.
And release their Nnamdi Kanu. But his own lawyer has said that Nnamdi Kanu says thank you to the governor as well.
Well, thanks, but no thanks.
He didn't say thanks, but no thanks. He just said, I just concluded a visitation with MNK, and he directed me to publicly convey his appreciation to the governor, Chukwuma Soludo, for his political courage, for the political courage he displayed by demanding his unconditional release. You know, he first asked for his unconditional release.
I wanted to take the story of the Imo State Governor's response to the spokesperson of the Coalition of United Political Parties' allegation that he was the governor who sent arsonists to his house and burnt it, and that arson attack, his uncle was killed. Now, this Imo State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Declan Imulumba, in responding to absolve the governor of the allegation, says that the CUPP spokesman, as he described the CUPP spokesman as a queer and perverted individual with track record of cantankerous conduct, one who picks enemies the way magnets pick pins, and therefore should look inward to know where his problem emanated. He said that he lived a life of falsehood and violence and was afraid of his own shadow. I think that because he has suffered the loss, absolve the governor, but don't attack. You can be more constructive in speech. For a commissioner of information, the thing just pepper me, say, how can you speak English like this? At a time when somebody bereaved, you know, when you're bereaved, so this morning myself and a colleague were sharing something. She said when her father died, she was just wondering, why is the senior sister alive? She was just saying all sorts of things. Somebody bereaved can talk anyhow. Yeah. But you, as a government official, should be more constructive and comport yourself properly.
All right.
Circumspect. So you.
Yeah, which one is the story?
Yes, I was going to take Chatham House. So the presidential candidate for Labour Party has gone to Chatham House, and while he was there, he was reading out all that he wants to do. One of the first things he started with was saying that he vows to destroy the structure that has kept Nigerians in poverty. He said many people during the campaign said he doesn't have any political structure. How does he think he can win? He said that's the exact structure that he wants to destroy, the structure that has impoverished Nigerians so far. Concerning his development, the first thing he said he was going to deal with is power. He said, how can a country that has 200 million be producing 6,000 to 5,000 megawatts when South Africa, in comparison, that has just 60 million, is producing 40,000, and they are declaring state of emergency. So for him, it is all-out war on the power sector to improve it. On IPOB, he also mentioned that he's going to look into the issue of marginalization and bringing justice. On the issue of security, he mentioned how himself and his candidate are going to work on the matter. But the last thing I want to mention is how he's going to deal with the Nigerian debt. And we know we have a lot of debt. And he said, while he was the governor of Anambra State, we should go back to him being a governor with 30 members of State Assembly not belonging to his party, and he was able to manage the affairs of the state. Avoiding nepotism and transactional policies is one way to reduce debts, and a lot more was said. You can read the details.
All right, moving on quickly now to Vanguard. Alleged graft and treason. Tinubu article, seek each other's arrest and disqualification. Chifanyako has devoted his life in service of humanity, says Ambassador Chinadi. DSS denies invading CBN as immediately resumes from his annual leave. Lingering fuel scarcity, shame of the nation. Davos 2023. 3 richest men in Nigeria wealthier than 83 million Nigerians, says Oxfam. Nigeria suffering from SAP misadventure of the 1986. Polls, why we can't follow temporary voters card, INEC. We can't allow, actually, temporary voters card. INEC tells court, and Lagos arraigns killer of female lawyer Tafawa Balewa Rahim. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Davos 2023.
Yes.
Oxfam has called for the higher taxation of the world's super rich. And that's 3 Nigerians, only 3 like this, are richer than 83 million of us. And that 0.003% of Nigerians, that's 6,355 individuals, are worth at least $5 million and above. He said it suggested that the wealth tax of 2% on millionaires and 3% on those wealth above 50 million and 5% on Nigerian billionaires would raise 3.2 billion annually. So in short, what they are telling us is that our rich people here, they're not paying enough tax. If they tax the rich people, instead of coming for people like us, that our debts will decrease, one, because they will have money to spend, they will have money to put on health, they will have money to put on education. So they should now please go and be taxing those people and stop letting them escape.
Yeah. It's not only Nigeria, they also talk about globally. So they also, I'm just telling you that it's not a Nigerian problem.
Am I paying tax in global?
I'm just reading the article. I'm trying to add to what you're saying.
Okay,
in addition to the Nigerian part of the conversation, they also added that if up to 5% of the world's multi-billionaires are taxed, we'll be able to raise $1.7 trillion that can lift 2 billion globally out of poverty. So it wasn't just Nigeria, it wasn't a Nigerian problem, it's a global problem.
But they said that
today,
our own, how many would they remove from poverty from our own?
Any other story on
Well, INEC yesterday through their lawyer in court, you know, INEC had been taken to court by someone asking the court to compel INEC to allow voters with temporary voters card vote. And INEC, with their lawyers yesterday, asked the court to dismiss the suit and insisted that only PVCs are the legitimate voters accreditation method approved under the Electoral Act, and that's the only method, the only tool that they'll be deploying. Right. Any temporary method, voters card registration, or any such temporary measure will not be approved for elections. And they quoted the valid act.
I got mine last week. I forgot to mention it.
Oh, congratulations.
So we're good to go. So everybody must get theirs.
Have you got yours?
Mine took a bit of a hassle because they couldn't find it. I had to go somewhere else and look for it. You know, I didn't act like the regular Nigerian of just giving up and moving on. I went back and forth a bit.
I've seen regular Nigerian giving up, so I'm going to go back.
I didn't give up. I made sure they found it. They traced it. They
moved it to, so I think it's closing this week. So try.
22nd, I think, or 29th.
No, 29th. It's not 29th.
Yeah, we'll discuss it, but we can't
We still have over a week.
My PVC is very old. Can I renew my?
I want to take a story.
I
want to take it. Few crises is affecting everybody. This morning there was so much traffic based on few crises, and so members of the organized private sector are complaining that we have spent over 20 trillion naira in the past 3 years on fuel subsidy. Officially, fuel is subsidized to 195 naira per litre, but we all know that we're not buying for 195 litre per night. 190. We are buying for some people are buying for 250, 300 to 650 per litre across the country. This is unacceptable. It's making life difficult. We're just the NECA is lamenting, MAN is lamenting.
Everybody is lamenting.
Everybody is lamenting.
Tokpe is lamenting.
I am,
Eniba.
No more.
And this one is buying everybody.
Those of us that are paying 260 in Lagos, we don't know that somebody is paying 650 in this same country. Eniba, no more.